Hello and welcome to Good Investing. I am Rachel Grunn.
And I'm Andrea Cwik.
Thank you guys for joining us for another week of Good Investing. So this week we have an exciting kind of special episode for you guys. We are going to be sharing about one of our open, currently investable opportunities for our accredited investors. Excuse me. And this is a really exciting opportunity. It's definitely out of the box. And we usually can't share this kind of stuff on our podcast, but fortunately, with this opportunity, we can.
Yeah, so this opportunity basically is a co-ownership of land in Texas and opportunity to own the business with us as well of producing Texas grapes, which will then be used to make Texas wine. So there is a really big gap with the amount of Texas grapes that are needed to produce enough Texas wine for all the Texas drinkers. So we basically need to produce more grapes because there's a huge gap, and we are trying to fill that gap with this business. And it is already proven to be a very amazing opportunity and with a lot of potential for growth.
Yes, and how cool is it to say that you own part of a vineyard, right? And Texas is only producing 50% of the wine grapes needed to meet current Texas wine demand. 50%. That's a huge supply gap. But the interesting thing about this investment is there's no exit strategy. There's no sale of asset. Of course, we're going to be selling grapes, but there's no plan to get rid of the land or the vineyard. And so the return structure is really interesting and really cool. We're actually projecting lifelong cash flow and lifelong returns, 50 plus years. So we'll get into that definitely. Um, but like Andrea was saying as well, this is a proven method because actually our partners on this deal have done it themselves with their own money. Obviously not for 50 plus years, but they're already contracting grape sales before the grapes are even grown. I think they even contracted a batch before the vines were even in the ground. That's how desperate Texas winemakers are for Texas grapes. And they're actually contracting them way over our pro forma grape contract price. So that's a really, really, really good indication that this is a fantastic investment vehicle.
Yeah, and what's really cool is that this is not too far from our home. We're going to go visit this vineyard very soon too, but it's by Lubbock, right? Do you remember the exact city?
Oh gosh. No. It's like some unincorporated. It's in the Texas High Plains. That's what it is. The Texas High
That's
Plains.
what it
It's
is,
just
yes.
outside of Lubbock. But the acreage is huge, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres. So it probably spans multiple cities or counties, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's already been some work to the land to start preparing for the vines getting into the ground. There's already been some preparation of equipment. Like, you should see the equipment. It is state of the art that we're using for this. And we have a very detailed webinar and presentation that we will put in our show notes that goes over the intricacy of this deal. But we wanted to highlight on the pod just all of the exciting returns and a little overview on this deal, which we don't want you to miss out on.
yeah, let's get into the return model. One note about what Andrea said about the sophistication that we're bringing with the type of equipment. So currently, ourselves and our partners are the only vineyard operator in the entire state of Texas functioning like California with high wire trellising and mechanization with zero competitors. Zero. This allows us to produce 5 times the number of grapes per acre compared to the average Texas vineyard. Obviously, that creates lower operational costs and higher profit margins. So that's really cool to note. But let's dive into the returns because that's what you guys want to hear about.
Oh, yeah. And then actually, we should note that these opportunities are not going to be like, we're not always going to have them. They're very few and far between. And that's because we are planning to have these vineyards for as much as to meet the demand, right? So that only means a few blocks. So the opportunities are going to be very slim and they're going to come years in between at a time. So that's important to know because it's a very exclusive deal.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Okay, let's jump into the returns. And like I said, this is going to be out of the box. Probably not what you guys are used to with real estate, but still exciting nonetheless. So, we're looking at like a 10-year return model, okay? Now, again, this is not when a sale is going to happen or any sort of capital event. We're expecting a refinance, but not a sale. So, in the next 10 years, we are projecting that you'll receive 211 to 276% return on your money. So if you invest $100,000, you're getting back $311,000 or up to $376,000. Again, this is a range, it's a projection, but that's kind of gives you an idea of what you can expect over 10 years. And then past that, well, infinite returns, right? Because we're never going to sell this. So you're going to continue to receive returns from the same amount of money that you invest one time. And that's going to be 16 to 19% annualized, right? So your average annual cash on cash will be 21 to 28% for 50 plus years.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. That yeah, 17 to 20% IRR annualized return. When you compare that to the stock market, which is a 9% average return, or multifamily, I mean, it's kind of really aligned with like multifamily returns, except multifamily is a shorter, like you're keeping that investment for a shorter time. This is more long term. And I don't think I've ever seen a deal with this amount of IRR, this annualized return for this many years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And after 25 years, we do have to replant the vineyard, but we're not going to ask for more money from our investors to do that. So we're setting aside a little bit of the profit on every harvest. And that contingency fund will grow over 25 years to over, I think it's between $5 and $7 million, which is how much money we need to completely take out all the vines and completely replant them. So we are not asking for more money from investors at any point to continue the investment, like indefinitely, as long as we want. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And of course, every opportunity that Rachel and I give to our investors is an opportunity. Every single investment obviously is a risk. So we always say, have money in your reserves. But if this sounds like something that you want to explore, definitely reach out to us and let us know, and we can go over more details further. But I will say that I am excited to be a vineyard owner, and I'm also excited for the cash on cash returns and getting hopefully some really good cash flow on this deal.
Yes, and before we sign off, I just want to one thing investors might be thinking is, well, I don't want to get into the crop business, right? Because what if a tornado comes through and just wipes out the whole thing? Then you got no product, no profit, nothing. Andrea, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that is, weather is a possibility that can be something like of a circumstance that could come up for sure. But we have insurance, really good insurance, on this deal and on the vineyard that will allow for us to replant the crops and really hold us through the times where maybe we're not producing the fruit that we expect to produce so that we make returns. So, insurance is a very big key component on this deal for our investors.
Insurance is actually our biggest expense on the deal, is our
Hmm.
insurance premium every year. But that's because we understand it's agriculture, we understand it's crops, we understand it's risky. So if we can mitigate that risk, it's priceless. So we have invested in extremely expensive insurance, but it completely covers us in the case of total loss. So that's also super exciting. But listen, guys, if you're interested, you want to know more, I know this was a little teaser. We don't want to get too much into the weeds on here because we did get really into the weeds on some webinars that we can send your way. We can link in the description. Get in touch with us if you are interested. If you don't know if you're accredited or not, also get in touch with us because you might be. You can find us at goodgoodinvesting.com or email us at goodgoodinvesting@gmail.com. Anything else to add, Andrea?
No, but I loved your comment about the weeds since this is a vineyard
Oh, that
and
is such a
we
good
have to
pun. I didn't even think about it. Oh my gosh, so
I'm like, you're
cringy.
on it, Rachel. You're on it. Yeah.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? We'll let you decide. I could go and go and go. I think even on our webinar we called it like pouring profits or
Yeah, exactly.
sowing whatever. We could go on and on.
Yeah.
It's very cringy. But guys, get in touch, and I would love to partner with you on this opportunity. Well, until next time, don't invest good.
Invest twice as good. Bye.
Bye.